Chris, and I'm an addict.
Hey, Chris.
I want to thank God for everything, and I want to thank Cape Atlantic Convention Committee for asking me to come here in my own area, which is probably like the 7th area I've had in Narcotics Anonymous. And I want to thank the people that are here from that area that have embraced me over the last few years since I've been here. I'm really grateful for that. And thank you so much, Tina, for sharing. I felt like I didn't have to say anything. I almost forgot that I was sharing up here, because when you were talking about leaning into your faith and everything, I was really zoned in. And I just want to thank God for everything. I'm really grateful. They told me the topic was welcome to the program or welcome to the convention. And I felt funny. I was like, what do I do with that? Like, I felt like I was telling a friend of mine earlier, I was like, I feel like I'm that dude that when we went to Mexico this year that's waiting like, taxi, 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 like when they welcome you when you come off the plane or something like that. I'm like, what do I, and then somebody laid me out earlier and said, man, what about when they gave you that hug when you got here, and how'd that feel? And then another addict sent me a text and said, great, that's the topic, I can't believe it. And I'm like, I wish you was up here, Sharon. So I'm just going to start and read here. And I just want to share this. I'm nervous. I'm totally blank. And that's not like me. It's been a busy, busy day, but a beautiful day at the same time. So I always believe in just starting off with some honesty and praying, and things will just fall into place from there. That's what I believe. So from what is the Narcotics Anonymous program? I hope there's some newcomers in here. Man, I see a lot of experienced members. It says our message of recovery is based on our experience. Before coming to the fellowship, we exhausted ourselves by trying to use successfully and wondering what was wrong with us. After coming to NA, we found ourselves among a very special group of people who have suffered like us and found recovery. In their experiences, freely shared, we found hope for ourselves. If the program worked for them, it could work for us. That's what I thought about. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, seeing the person dying on the inside and changing on the inside and the outside is like the greatest thing that I've ever experienced in Narcotics Anonymous. Seeing somebody come back to life who didn't even know if they wanted this, and I had to identify on a deep level, because when I got here, I didn't know if I wanted this. When I went to jail, I didn't know if I wanted Narcotics Anonymous. All I wanted was to be with my son and not go to prison. That's all I want. I had no idea what life was going to be like if I chose to come here. And I remember I was in a facility up in Secaucus, New Jersey, and I'm judging everybody in the group, right? And everybody lying, everybody in there bragging about the things they should be crying about. You know what I mean? Like, you had 2 bundles, I had 20. All this stuff was going on in the group, and all of a sudden somebody shared open and honestly, and I felt it in my heart. And about 2 minutes later, we're in a circle. About 2 minutes later, somebody raised their hand and they gave them a solution. And I don't know if anybody has ever had a click moment. That was my click moment. And it was like, yo, that's what they have meetings for. I was like, it was like my mind was blown and open at the same. It was like, they said you can't graft a new idea on a closed mind, right? Sometimes there needs to be an explosion and a demolition that happens on the inside to be able to explode on the outside, to give me a new perspective on what has to happen in my life. And when they said, here's the solution, I was like, wow, this is crazy to me. Like, I can't believe it. And I fell in love with the place I was at when I was trying to get out of there every day. There was like a quiet surrender going on the inside that happened without my permission. And it was like the third surrender that happened in this process. I'm going to tell you about the first surrender. So, thank you guys. See, I was blank. Now things are popping, right? I remember one of the last times I used it was a couple days after Labor Day. I had a couple dollars left on the EBT card, and I'm fighting with my son's mother because I'm getting her off E, and we got one zany left. I'm not going to sit here and tell you long war stories and all that, but I'm fighting because I'm the one going, right? And I get there, and people who know me know I always say this. I know I look Spanish, but I'm not Spanish, right? I say I'm not Puerto Rican, I'm Puerto Rican. and I knew, and I thought I knew, right? Because I don't know if you know this, but drugs kind of make your mind go different places and think distorted. And I thought I knew the dude on the bike that I saw, because it was real quiet in Camden that morning, and it's never quiet in Camden. I don't know if anybody, whatever. So it was real quiet, and I said, Papi. And I told y'all I'm not Spanish, but I knew Parico and Monteg. I said, Tres Parico. And he said, go stay next to that truck. And I went and stood next to the truck, and 6 cops came and swarmed me, all right? they take me to the 10th Street Park where I use many days. And something was different. And I seen like 30, 40 people in the park. And it reminded me why it was so quiet. They had this thing going on. And they put me in these plastic handcuffs I've never been in my life. And they put me on my knees. And I'm sitting there on my knees. You talked about it. Thank God for His grace, right? You want to know what's the best thing? I was talking to a friend of mine about grace this morning. Is that grace gives you another opportunity to get better. And I was on my knees. And I felt something lift. I don't know what that something was, but I felt something lift off my shoulders. Like, not physically. I felt something. And this was the first surrender. And I felt it lift. And I was like, if I get through this kick, if I get out of this jail sentence I'm about to face, right? If I could just get through, maybe I have a chance. And I end up in facilities and all this. And I'm going to tell you one more story and I'm going to get to more like where it's at. But this was just on my heart. And so I'm in this facility. I had that click moment. I had another level of surrender. And I'm sitting there and they asked me, they came and they said, you want to become part of the choir? And there's the facility I'm in. They said, you want to become part of the choir? I'm like, no, I can't sing. Like, like I need a lot of shower water. And so they said this, right? They said, you can miss group on Tuesday and Thursday night. And they said, and on the van ride to Newark, the chicks ride with us. You could talk to the chicks. I said, sign me up. That's it, right? But sometimes you can take the wrong road and end up in the right place, and God will use your unhealthy desires to get you to your destiny. Because I'm thinking physical, and there's something else that's on my life that I don't know is on my life, but there's something guiding my life and guiding the decisions that I'm making and guiding the people that's giving me the opportunity to make these decisions. So I'm in this place, and we end up in Newark one time singing at this place, and I told you I can't sing. I did the Milli Vanilli. I sat in the back, and I just faked it, right? I was lip singing. But I wanted to get out of, I don't know if anybody ever was in rehab that just wanted to get out, right? I wanted to get out. So we go through this church, and we're walking through the kitchen, and I stop, and I look on top of the refrigerator, and it was this box of no-frill cornflakes, right? It was white with black writing, and it said cornflakes. And so somebody, look, like they shake their head before I even said anything, right? So cheap that the cornflakes inside tasted worse than the cardboard that was holding, But they told me when I got here that a Grateful Addict would never use. And I can tell you that was the first time that I ever experienced gratitude on a real deep level, because I was thinking about where I was using before. And at the end of my road, when I was living at the house, and when I had my son in my house, and when I had paraphernalia all over the place, and when I smoked crack all day, and when I shot up dope all day, and I didn't pay attention to him, and I neglected him, and it reminded me that anytime I went to the food bank, because I spent all my money on getting high, because the drugs had a pull on me that I didn't even understand and didn't even know. I thought it was all my idea, but I didn't understand that I was in the grip. So when I saw this box, it reminded me of all the times I went to the food bank and I ate all the food except those cornflakes. It's the only thing that was sitting on my refrigerator. We had like 7 boxes of cornflakes on top of the refrigerator when I got clean. And I felt gratitude. I felt like, I can't, like I'm not eating those cornflakes no more. I'm not taking cigarettes off the ground and out of the rain and rolling them in toilet paper wrapper no more. I'm not doing that stuff. And for the first time I felt hope. Like, I can't believe my life can actually change. There's never been, since I started using at 12 years old, there's never been a time that made it feel like I had a chance. I've never had that. And to be able to experience that in real life without drugs in my system was so hopeful to me that I just wanted to become part of something else. And I remember being in a facility and just saying, all in my mind, it kept going, you need to go to NA, you need to go to NA, you need to go to NA. And I had no idea where this thought was coming from because I never been to NA, I didn't like meetings. I went to a meeting one time when I tried to get clean like 10 years before that, and I was there for like 20 minutes and I left, right? I've been in a place where they shake hands, didn't work for me. But in my head, I just kept hearing, you need to go to NA, you need to go to NA, you need to go to NA, you need to go to NA. And so when I got out, I got into a halfway house, and I'm like, I'm going to NA. That's what I'm going to do. That's all I'm hearing in my head. You got to go to NA, I'm going to NA. And it was like, you on a 35-day blackout. I'm cursing them out. I'm like, what? What are you talking about 35? I'm like, you have to be out of your mind. I'm trying to go, or I got to get a job. I got to go to meetings. I got to do, I'm all, all of a sudden the drugs is out. I'm all gung-ho, like, and so they was like, you got to get out. And they let me out on job search after 35 days. And I remember going out. And by this time, and I know I'm telling you a lot of old story, but when they said welcome, that's all I thought about was how I got here. And I remember by this time, my son was taken from his mother and given as a foster family, and then ended up with my mom as a foster mom. And she took care of him for a little bit. And then when his mom ended up in rehab, they took him and put him in the rehab with her. And I'm mad again. I'm cursing her. I'm pissed off. So my man goes, why don't you go look for this job for me? It's right where your son is at. And I'm like, all right, bet. I could do that. So I go with him. And we get to the place. I'm just sitting outside. And I see the facility my son is living at. And we go back to the facility I was at. And they go, yo, you find a job? I'm like, no, I didn't find a job yet. Dude goes, go to this place and fill out an application. I go, yo, I just got from there. I just came back from there. Like, they're not hiring. They told my boy they're not hiring. He said, listen. He said, go fill out this application. And he looked me dead in my eye. And I listened. And it was like the first time in my life I ever got out of my own way. These are all the things that they started telling me when I got here, and I started to put pieces of the puzzle back together. And they said, you get out your own way, right? You're always in the way. And I was like, oh my God, I'm listening to this guy. I go to this place. They told my man who had experience in plumbing and heating and air and all that stuff that they wasn't hiring. I got no experience. I was a cook my whole life. And I told the dude, and I don't know about y'all, I was never honest on the application. They said, you got felonies? I checked no all the time, right? And for the first time in my life, I got honest. And I told the guy, I said, listen, I've been using drugs for years. I said, I'm on this program. I said, I'm going to have to miss days to go to this program. I said, I got hepatitis C. I got to go to the doctor to do that. I said, I know nothing about this job. I said, I've worked in the restaurant industry. I said, but I'm willing to work. And the dude said, all right, I'm going to look at your application and I'll review it, right? So that was Friday. Sunday, I'm praying about it, like, should I go back, right? And Monday morning, I go back, and he gives me the job, right? My man told Friday that he wasn't hiring. Here it is Monday. I get honest, and he gives me the job. The job is right across the street from where my son is at. And when they went to eat, they had to walk 3 blocks. Now, we're talking about, we was in Blackwood. They sent me to Gloucester County Jail. They sent me to Secaucus, New Jersey, and then they sent me to Patterson, New Jersey. They sent my son from Blackwood to a foster home in Sicklerville, to my mom's house in Winslow, to when his mom came up to Patterson, and now I'm 5 blocks away in 2 different facilities, and then I get a job right across the street, and every time they went to eat, they had to go 3 blocks and walk to this other building, and all the people at my job knew my son was there because I was honest about who I was, and they said, Chris, come to the front, and I would come to the front, and my son, who I barely saw, and for the last 9 months was walking and his mom was pushing him in the stroller, and she's going, hi daddy, he's going, hi daddy, and I got to see him every day. I'm talking about the hope when when life starts falling, when you start to do the right thing and life starts falling into place, and you got a desire in your heart to change, and then you got this thing that you don't even know about that's involved in your life that you didn't even ask to come into your life, and you got this spiritual thing that's just like directing stuff, and next it just blows hope, and you just want to be part. Then the girl came to the meeting, and she said. And listen, I was attentive. They said those who know they sick sit in the front. They said the front is the ICU. They said sit in the front and listen. Because when you sit in the front, if you're scared to speak and you don't want to speak and you got a hard time speaking in front of a lot of people, if you sit in the front, all you see is the chairperson and the speaker. If you sit in the back, everybody's going to turn and look at you and you're going to get scared. They said sit in the front is the ICU because you sick, right? You messed up. They said you need to get in the front. So I sat in the front and the lady came and she started talking about all this stuff that she did and that had nothing to do with my story. But then she said this. She said, they told me to chase your recovery the same way you chase the drugs. That's right. And I was like, that makes sense. Because I knew how I chased the drugs. So I was like, I can do that. Right? I couldn't get a house. I didn't have no money. I was living in a halfway house. I couldn't get a car. My license was still suspended. I couldn't get clothes. The clothes I had blood stains on them from when I got locked up. Right? I didn't have a lot of things going on in my life, and I didn't have a pot to piss in. But what I did have is some hope in the people in Narcotics Anonymous that came in and blew life into me and told me about things, and they showed me how the program was working. They said, this is a basic text. You know what that is? No. This is an IP. This is right sponsorship. Here's the sponsorship IP. You need to read this. Don't just listen to what people say. Read the stuff. And I was like, all right, I'm going to start reading it. And they just started breathing life into me. And I said, I'm going to chase my recovery more than I chase the drugs. I know our literature says we don't come here brimming with honesty, open-mindedness, and love and all that stuff. But I was so desperate. I wanted it so bad. Because I got a taste.
That's right.
I got to it was like something changed. Something changed on the inside of me that Narcotics Anonymous, man. Like, come on, man. I'm preaching to the choir. We know what this is. A special group of people where things happen that you can't fully explain in words, but you see manifest in meetings. You hear people share about the hope and the stuff that happens in their lives. You start to see that people start to change. You start to understand that if they can, I can. And you start to go, man, I'm going to put myself into this. So I got the phone. They gave me the phone, right? My mom, right? Because I'm still a man-child at 36 years old, right? My mom came up and brought me the phone, and I got my phone. You know, the last time I had a phone was a flip phone. It was an Obama phone that I sold, you know, for $5, and then took another 2 hours to beg somebody to split something, you know. So I got a phone, and they told me, they said, here's the meeting list numbers. They said, here's the meeting list with numbers, dial them, don't file them, right? And then they said, here's all the meetings in our area. They showed me. They was like, here's the church name. They got the address. They showed me. They told me. And I know I'm preaching to the choir, but I got to tell you, this is the hope right here for me. Because when I got here, they loved me so much. They said the O means open meetings, and the D means discussion, and the S means speaker. And they just started showing me everything, man. I'm talking about y'all loved me. Y'all loved me. Y'all loved me.
That's right.
So the weekends I didn't have my son, I got the meeting list. I ain't called the numbers.
You filed them.
I filed them. I ain't dialed them. I ain't called. I'm just being honest, right? I didn't call the numbers, but I knew the addresses of the churches, and I got a new phone now, and I'm by myself, and I'm putting in these addresses, and I didn't know anything about speaker jams, but I'm making my own speaker jams. I'm going to 2-3 different areas in the same day by myself on the bus, by myself in Patterson, New Jersey. And I'm Chris, I'm new, I'm in a halfway house, I don't know nothing about what's going on here. Y'all talking slogans, this doesn't make no sense. But I was like, I know I want to stay clean, I just need help. And people started to pick me up at the halfway house. My A1s from day ones, they fly no kites, ain't nobody put no money on my books. These people had never met me in my life. Mustang Steve. I love Mustang Steve, man. This is back when the old cats had nicknames. You know what I mean? Like, they changed his name. His name is Boston Steve now because he wasn't driving a Mustang no more. So, you know, but he had a Boston accent. And this dude was picking me up Tuesday night, Garfield meeting, and he would pick me up, and I would get in the car, and the Chris that hasn't been healed yet would start talking. The molestation, right? The little boy that was left on the bed and didn't know what happened, what was the fallout, what was the results of how I see life and how I interact with people based on what happened that day, right? Those type things, my dad leaving, the abandonment issues, the trust issues, right? All those things start to come up. And in my mind, the old Chris says, don't say nothing, just sit in the chair, don't say nothing. Just be quiet. Because I was taught kids ought to be seen and not heard. And I still had this child mentality because I was 7 years old, left on that bed. And he would say something to me, and I would say something back. And then he would say something back. I was like, somebody likes me. Right? But my mind's still saying, shut up, don't say nothing. And he dropped me off. And he said, give me a call next week, I'll come get you. What? Like, don't you know I'm in a halfway house? Don't you know I don't have nothing to give? Because where I come from, if you nice, you got an angle, you want something. And most of the times when I was nice to you, it was because I wanted something. And these people start loving on me, man. They start picking me up. They start taking me places. They start showing me things. They started saying the thing that we always hear, right? Do you want to go eat after the meeting? I'm like, I don't want to eat. You know, order a water with lemon. And You know what I mean? They like, no, we didn't ask you if you had money. Like all that stuff that people talk about that I wish I see more of now. And I'm not going to get on those soapbox. Maybe I will. I don't know. But, all that stuff that happened to me, man. And it was like, these cats don't know me from Adam. They love on me. And here's the hit. And they drug addicts. They're drug addicts and they're loving on me. That's the oxymoron. Drug addicts don't know how to love. And if these drug addicts could change their life, what did you do? You mean you got a spine? You got involved with the step process? What's the steps? They said it's the keys to freedom. They said it's defense against the disease of addiction. They said honesty is the antidote for disease thinking. And I'm like, what do you mean disease? Right? Like, I ain't got cancer, you know what I mean? Like, I have C, But, so they're loving on me, they're showing me all this stuff, man, and it blew life into me. And I wanted to get involved in service. I got involved in service, and it's just been, I don't have all the time to tell you the whole story, but I can't thank Narcotics Anonymous enough. And I say all the time, I wake up in debt. When I walk, right? Narcotics Anonymous got the message of hope and the promise is freedom, right? That any addict can stop using drugs, lose desire to use, and find a new way to live, right? So when I woke up this morning and I didn't have the desire to use, Narcotics Anonymous has fulfilled its promise. It's only one promise. It fulfills it. Every single day I wake up and I don't get high. Narcotics Anonymous not only fulfills its promise, but it reassures me that I don't have to use ever again because this place saves lives. And if it can save a life, then maybe I should try saving a life the rest of my life because I owe. So I wake up every day in debt because Narcotics Anonymous allowed me to go to sleep and wake up without the desire. And then God don't owe me nothing because I went to sleep and my systems worked. Well, maybe I got to pray more because I pee a lot in the middle of the night now. But I don't know where that's coming from. But my organs work. My circulatory system work. My respiratory system. I'm breathing in and out. In my sleep, I'm in REM sleep. I'm in comatose-like state, which is far beyond a heroin nod. That's right. And I woke up. So it wasn't the alarm clock, right? So God don't owe me nothing either. So I'm in debt. I'm going to spend the rest of my days trying to repay God and trying to repay Narcotics Anonymous. Come on. It's as simple as that. And when I do that, I can find out that I never had it so good. No matter what happens during the day.
That's right. That's right.
Matter of fact, what did I do to make some of those things happen? What, can I look at me instead of playing a victim all the time and understand that I'm not fighting for victory no more because I come to Narcotics Anonymous. Once I start coming to Narcotics Anonymous and I start working the steps and the steps start to have an internal change and the fundamental transformation starts happening, I no longer fight for victory. I'm fighting from victory. So when my perspective changes, when they told me just for today, y'all read it at the end of the meeting, they said just for today through NA, I'm going to get a better perspective on my life. So when the perspective changes, it means the life should change because the belief should be deep enough to infect the behavior so I don't have to do old behaviors no more. I can now do new behaviors. And I can have some faith that's spelled R-I-S-K, and I can take a risk on myself and do things that I never thought possible, and I could try these new things and make new mistakes and be okay with the new mistakes, because if it's not the same old mistakes, then it can't be insanity. It can't be. I might be starting the process of some new insanity, right? If it don't go right and I keep doing the same thing. But it can't be insanity no more. I'm at a point in my recovery, man, where the greatest gift that Narcotics Anonymous has given me besides my relationship with God is the opportunity to be myself.
That's right.
That's it. That's it. And I'm just going to be me, right? Honest. There's times I go and people know me as the God guy. And I am. But there was also times that I knew about that and I had to keep that false and phony image up. Because my prayer life might not be as strong as it once was because I'm falling short in other areas, but I can't be honest about that because I'm the God guy. But our literature tells me, that's why I love the literature. The literature tells me that the requirement to share a message may play a role in my life to me not sharing the truth. And if I don't share the truth about my life, then I don't have a message at all. Whoa. They hit me with that, and I was like, oh my God, right? So I got to be able to tell the truth about myself. I am the guy. You know what? I had a problem with fantasy football. Check this out. For years, like since the 90s, right? These are the things that I brought into Narcotics Anonymous because when I first got here, I thought I was perfect, right? I put the drugs down, so, everybody trusts me, I'm perfect, right? And I found out that I got a me problem. And there's things that God put in my mind to get rid of, and then there's things that I thought that I should keep. And fantasy football was one. In the last couple years, right? I don't know how much time I got, but last couple years,
10 minutes.
they got all these podcasts, right? I'm talking about the disease of addiction. Because it's way beyond drugs. The disease is a shapeshifter. And it's been studying me my whole life. So it knows me better than I know myself. So it knows when to present things. It knows what emotion invokes what behavior. And when that emotion comes, it brings that thing. So last year, I'm starting to get addicted to these podcasts, right? I'm doing fantasy football leagues with the people at my work. Now we're in this league. It's only like 3 people that still work at that same place, and we all still in the same league, right? And last year, they started doing these podcasts for the next season before the Super Bowl even happened. Like the devil is real, because they're playing on my obsession. And I love to listen to that stuff because I'm a information guy. That's why I love the literature so much. I love information. Right? I love numbers. I'm a stats guy. Right? I knew the Super Bowl this year. I'm telling my wife, I'm like, yo, A.J. Brown is he's got 4.0 yards per attempt against man coverage. Like, who cares? Like, what did that really do for my life? That I know that information. And and I'm not at the casinos, and it's not killing my life, right? The house ain't falling apart. People ain't acting all crazy in my life. So you can be real easy to just start rationalizing that it's okay because there's no issues. But it says in this literature that we don't have to wait for a jail sentence or an overdose to get help from Narcotics Anonymous. So I learned that I don't have to wait for the things to ruin my life before I can start changing my life. And in my prayer and meditation, God starts to bring things into my mind and says, this is what you need to let go because I got something else for you, but do you trust me enough to let this go, right? So I put my own timeline on it. I like to control my using. So after the Super Bowl, that's it. I'm done. Right? This is before the season started. So I've been listening to podcasts all before the season, right? So I'm geared up, right? The first day of the football season about to start. Right by my clean date, too. So I'm like, yo, my home group, and then my clean date, and then the first day of football. This is great. I was like, I hope nobody. I'm asking my wife. I love my wife. Me and my wife spend all the time. It's like my best friend. I'm asking her, yo, you got to work on Sunday, right? I want total isolation. I want to be by myself, and I'm home. The phone call comes in. This person's celebrating. I'm like, come on, God, for real. You know what I mean? Like y'all celebrating for real?
That's right.
And it was my sponsees. I think he just walked in the room. So I had to go present him a medallion, right? The next week, my team is playing. I'm not going to tell you who my team is because I want y'all to still like me. But if I do tell you, maybe you'll pray for me. Nah. We ain't doing all that. I do got a first tradition, though, so we love the Cowboys fans, too. So then my man is... Then my man is celebrating at the same meeting the next week because they skipped the week because World happened. I'm like, another week 2? Am I ever going to be able to, right? So I'm listening to these podcasts, and I'm just going to be honest with you. I got to be me. I learned that whatever feeds you leads you.
That's right.
Right? Whatever I feed my eyes and whatever I feed my ears is going to lead my life. Well, I changed the music I listen to in the 6th step, right? Because my man back there helped me out, right? I changed a lot of things that I watch, not everything that I watch, but a lot of things that I watch I changed because those things have an impact on how I think, how I behave, how I receive the world, and how I interact with the world. And I want to be a better person, so I'm trying my best to have a better spiritual diet. And when I'm working and I'm driving, and I'm listening to the podcast instead of the things that I normally listen to, right? I listen to a lot of spiritual stuff. I'm not listening to that. I'm listening to the podcast. I'm just being honest. And maybe you believe me, maybe you don't. But this ain't breaking no traditions. So listen. I could literally feel my spirit drain. I could literally feel it. It's like, and something's going on the inside. And then there's that tug of war where you're like, I love this. but this is not feeling good, but I love this, but this ain't feeling good, right? I think I didn't get a full day of football till like week 8. Because 11 step says sometimes we could pray and God will give us what we pray for, and then we find out we can't handle it and we ask God to take it back. Give me a day. Listen, let me give. I just want to see Sports Center, you know. And you know, and we laugh about it and the food and like all this stuff. And I let it go. I got you. And I let it go. Whew. Can I tell you? And this ain't bragging or nothing, because my spirit is not controlled by me. You know what I mean? It never was. It brought me to surrender when I didn't want to stop. I feel closer to God than I ever felt in my whole life. I feel closer to my wife. And we went to Mexico. We went to Punta Cana on a honeymoon. We got married last year. We had no issues last year. Last year was a beautiful year. We was at the World, right? We did a lot of things. I've never been, you know how scared I was when I was trying to get my passport? So I was like, they're going to do background check. Right? And they gave me a passport. I've never been out of the country in my life. I went twice last year. So I'm not talking about these are things that are happening because everything's falling apart in calamity. I'm talking about trying to get closer to God in prayer and meditation. And when your spirit ain't feeling right, asking God to give you the courage to be able to have the trust to let go. That if you do let go, there will be something better. And when I let it go, everything improves. My relationship with my wife, it's like she's my best friend on a whole nother level. It's like the honeymoon phase happened again. It's great. I was like, I thought the honeymoon phase was just, I thought you never could have another honeymoon phase. I'm like, all right, well, we're just going to, you know, accept that we love each other and we having this great relationship. But it wasn't like, you know, I used to leave at her house at 2 a.m. and she'd cry when I walk out the door. You know what I mean? That was the honeymoon phase. We have that now. Narcotics Anonymous. Grace gives me an opportunity to get better at any time. It is one of the best things that Narcotics Anonymous offers us is a reset. Without having to use, without having to destroy relationships, without having to feel so bad about myself that I want to kill myself anymore, without wanting to kill everybody in the house and isolate myself. I don't have to get there anymore. So if you're new, welcome here. You have an opportunity to live a life beyond your wildest dreams. If you're not new and you're stuck in something, I was too, and I'm not no more. And guess what? Something else is on the way. Bible state, right? They say recovery demands our vigilance. If I'm not vigilant and diligent in what I'm doing, that shape shift is coming. I understand that, right? And if you've been here for a long time and you feel like it is different than it used to be, and you feel like I don't see the same hunger that I see anymore, and because these are things that have gone through my head, and I ain't even been here a long time. It's up to us to go love the newcomer. And then when we go back out to get that newcomer, life is breathed back into us again. Because I have a chance to reset. Thanks for letting me share.
We would like to thank our speakers for sharing their experience, strength, and hope. Can you guys thank Tina and Chris again?